Elly here from Thankful Flow Yoga. Thank you for being here for another one of my YouTube practices. Today we're going to be doing more of a restorative and stretchy flow. So it's going to be quite chilled, suitable for all levels. And I would suggest possibly having maybe some cushions, maybe a blanket, and a yoga strap if you have one. Now, if you don't, you could go and grab a dressing gown tie, which would work equally as well, or anything else that you've got to hand. Or if not, don't worry, you can use your hands for the stretch that we're going to be using this for. So we will get started in a lying position on our mat today. So come down into a lying position. And we'll ground for a couple of moments here so you can lengthen through both legs. Bring your arms out to the side of your body and either close off the eyes or take a steady gaze. And allow your shoulder blades and your hips to melt into the mat for a moment. And start to observe your breath as you inhale through your nose. Notice how the air feels as you inhale, whether the air feels cool or warm. And begin to observe where the breath travels to in your body. Maybe you can feel it in your chest. Maybe in your belly. There's no right or wrong, we're just observing how the body is feeling, how the breath is feeling today. And perhaps thinking about what that could be communicating to you. And today we're going to be creating a little bit of space for slowness within this busy world that we're sometimes in. Finding space for slowness is not always easy. And starting to open the eyes back up if you would like to, or you could keep them closed. And we're going to bring in this right leg. Now, if you've got your strap, we're going to hook the strap around the ball of the foot and across the foot. But make sure that your toes are free, that your toes are free to move. Now, if you don't have a strap, then you could be using your hands here, and maybe your hands are placing behind your thigh or behind your calf. And we're stretching through the right leg. So finding some length through the right leg. That doesn't mean it needs to be straight. And your left leg here, I've got mine lengthened, but if you feel that it would be more supportive, maybe try and see how it feels to place the left sole of the foot on the mat and bend that knee in to support you here. See how that feels for you. So you could take either option that feels right. And then if you've got your hands on the strap, we're going to slide the hands down and slide it down until your elbows are meeting the mat. And we want to keep the arms as passive as we can in this, really focusing on the stretch through the back of the right leg and lightly guiding this right leg in towards the body. Just being really, really careful and mindful of overdoing it here. We really want to give the body time to open up. It's not a race to get further into the stretch. Letting go of our ego and listening, being in that place of awareness for ourselves. Keep coming back to your inhales and your exhales. And then start to bring the strap into your right hand. And very, very gently guiding the right foot out to the right side. So we're opening through the hip here, opening through the groin, and bring some engagement through the right leg to support you in this opening. Again, it doesn't matter how far over to the right that your leg is coming. It's just about coming to a place where you can feel the opening and stretch in your body as we release and let go of anything we're holding in this space. And slowly start to guide the right foot back into neutral. Bring the strap into your left hand and guide the foot over to the left this time. So this will most likely be a very, very small range of movement. So a very subtle shift over to the left. We want the hips to stay grounded. Keep the hips connected to the mat. And you should feel a deep stretch through the muscles surrounding the hip, the glutes, those deep muscles in that area. This can feel quite intense, so remembering that you can ease off at any time and keep returning to your breath. Letting go of resistance. Guide the right foot back to neutral. Release the right foot from the strap and lengthen the right leg. And become aware here. Notice how that right side of your body feels now, how the right leg feels. Maybe the right leg's feeling significantly longer than the left leg now. Amazing the space that you can create in your body. And start to bring the left leg in this time, hooking your strap around the sole of the left foot. Make sure that it's not coming around your toes. You want the toes to be free. And then start to find length through the left leg. Slide the hands down the strap till your elbows meet the mat. Remembering that your leg does not need to necessarily be straight. Just find your stretch, find a place that works for you. And maybe gently guiding this left foot in towards you, opening. Deep opening through the backs of the legs. Remembering to breathe. Remembering that on different sides of the body, things may feel very different. That's very normal. It's okay to honor that. We don't need to make both sides exactly the same or make them, perfectly symmetrical. Just notice what's alive for you and do what feels right in your body. Start to bring the strap into the left hand and start to take that opening, bringing the left leg out over to the left side. Keep some engagement through the left leg, opening through the hip, the groin. Slowly start to guide the left leg back in towards neutral and then very slightly over to the right to feel that opening through the left glute, through the muscles surrounding that left hip. Keeping the hips grounded. Your hips coming away from the mat, and maybe you're coming a little too far. Maybe you need to bring the leg back slightly. Slowly starting to come out. Guide your left leg back to neutral and release the strap. And release the left leg on the mat. Start to bend the knees in and place the soles of the feet down. And then bring your left ankle to your right thigh and open this left knee out to the left side. So opening through the hip, external rotation through the hip. And so it's almost like a lying pigeon position that we're in here. And then from here, we're going to come into a supine twist. So I want you to bring your left arm out to the left side. And then we're going to tip. So keeping the legs as they are, start to tip over to the right. Keeping the legs in this position if you can. And maybe you come to a point where your left foot is meeting the ground and the side of your right legs come down as well. If this feels way too strong and doesn't feel right for you, then you can stack the knees and come into a traditional supine twist here. And then sending your head and your gaze over to the left. And for anyone who wants a little bit more of a stretch here, again, through the hip, especially probably feeling this in the left hip, you can guide this right knee up towards the body, which will intensify the stretch. Being careful to know your limits, listen to your body. Start to slowly come out from the twist. Release the left leg, plant the sole of the left foot down on the mat, window wipe the legs from side to side. And then this time we're gonna take the right ankle to the left thigh and let the right knee open up out to the side. Bring your right arm out to the right side. And then start to tip the legs over to the left, if you've got space. And then maybe your left foot's coming to meet the ground. You can bring your right foot's coming to meet the ground there. Got my left and right mixed up. And maybe you're guiding the left knee up slightly in towards the body. That will intensify the stretch that you're feeling through the right hip and glutes. And then send your gaze over to the right. And breathe. Closing off the eyes if that feels good too. Allowing yourself to breathe freely and be in your slowness. be in your stillness. It's easy to feel like there's always other things to do, other places to be, and that being in this slow space is not a productive use of our time, but actually giving this time to yourself is one of the most important things that you can do. Looking after your body and looking after your mind, of course, means that you can have more to give others in your life as well. Slowly start coming out of the twist. Release the legs. And we're going to roll over onto our front. So in your all fours position, so check your shoulders are in line with the wrists, hips in line with the knees. And from here, we're going to come into another juicy twist, coming to thread the needle. Now, I just want to make a note before we come into this that if you're very tight through the neck and also actually through the glutes and hamstrings, then this pose may not be right in your body today. So just take a pause and really, really connect to how your body's feeling and whether it's right to come into this position for you. And if it's not, then I'm going to offer you to work with some cat and cow instead. So let's see first. So we're going to ground through the left hand, take the right hand away from the mat, and it's threading underneath the left arm. So see how this action's feeling first. And then maybe, so start to bend through the left arm as we bring the right side of your head down to the mat. Now this is the point where if you're really tight through the neck, etc., this may not be feeling right for you. You do have an option that you can bring a cushion under your head. So you might want to have a look at doing that. Or if it's really not feeling right, then work into some spinal mobilization with cat and cow here. If you're in your spinal twist, maybe you're bringing the left arm away and reaching it up to the sky. Keeping your hips in line with the knees. Maybe you're bringing this left arm around behind you to meet your right thigh. That is not where you necessarily need to be. That's just an option. And breathe. Starting to unthread yourself now. So bringing the left hand down to the side of your head and pressing through the left hand, easing the body back through to a neutral position, taking as much time as you need, being really careful. And we'll start to come on the other side. So the same applies here. Weight through the right hand, bring the left hand away, thread it underneath the right arm. See as you lower down, notice, how's this feeling for me? Does this feel right in my body? Am I really straining here? And a really helpful thing to think about as well as you guide your left side of your head down to the mat, or maybe you start to come into your cat and cow if you're taking that option. A really great thing to think about whilst we're taking it slow in this space is thinking about whether something is right for us today and that might be different from how it felt yesterday. And that means it will be different to how it feels tomorrow or in a week's time, and that it's changeable. So there is no right or wrong. Sometimes just because you can come further into a pose doesn't mean that you necessarily should. Start unraveling. Bring the right hand down to the mat beside your head. Press through the right hand to support you as you unthread yourself. Well done. And start to sit your hips back towards your heels into your child's pose now. Melting the heart and the forehead towards the mat. That's just the direction that it's going in. Noticing your breath, observing any thoughts. Start to lift your hips away from the heels. Tuck your toes under, and on an exhale, come into your downward facing dog. And if you're not feeling for a downward facing dog today, that's absolutely fine. You could stay in your child's pose there. You're in your downward facing dog, creating length through the spine, hips coming away from the ribs and pressing through the hands, creating space through the shoulders. Send your gaze between your knees, relax the head and neck. Keep reaching your hips to the sky, belly button coming in towards the spine. Inhale through the nose, an option to take a releasing breath out through the mouth. And from your downward facing dog, on your inhale, walk the feet in and feet are roughly hip width apart, hang down in a forward fold here. So meet me in a forward fold towards the top of your mat. You can take the hands on the elbows if that feels good too. And allow gravity to do the work. Come forward through the balls of your feet. Keep as much bend through the legs as you need. Take any gentle movement that feels good. Maybe taking a shake through the head and the neck can help you release anything that you could be holding there. Allowing it to be let go. Release the hands from the elbows and bring yourself up to a standing position, rounding through the spine, meeting into Tadasana. And then take your feet slightly further than hip width apart, point your toes out to the side, and grabbing a block if you need one. Hands to heart center. Start to soften through the knees and lower down into your Malasana. So you could be coming with the block under the hips here for your Malasana, or you could be bringing your hips completely to the mat and just be in this position with the legs and coming into your Malasana here. Or maybe you're taking the block away and being in your traditional Malasana here. Just be mindful of the ankle and the knee joint, anything that does not feel right. Pressing the palms together, lightly pressing the elbows into the knees into the elbows, and engaging your Mula Bandha, your root lock, so your lower abdominals, the muscles at the seat of your pelvis, your pelvic floor muscles, engaging through your root. This is both in a physical sense, but also really an energetic sense as well. And then from here, lifting up through the body, growing the spine tall, crown of your head is reaching towards the ceiling, and there's an element of space across the chest. Find a gazing point or a drishti if that helps. Taking any gentle movement that feels good. And release your hips to the mat. Well done. Bring your left leg out in front of you. And drop the right knee out to the side. Sole of the right foot coming to the inside of the left thigh. Janu Shasana. Again, taking any props under the thigh, any cushion or prop or block under the hips to get that neutral spine first. Lengthen through the left leg, flex the left toes. Inhale, lift up, find space. Then come forwards into the fold. Leading with the chest bone. On your inhale, lifting and lengthening, and exhale, melting. Into the front. Slowly start to come up, back to neutral, switch the legs around, so bring the right leg out in front, left sole of the foot comes to the inside of the right thigh, take any support. Inhale, lift and lengthen the spine, then start to come forwards. Walking the hands forwards, leading with the chest. Keep breathing. Keep finding length on the inhale and surrendering on the exhale. Slowly start to come up. And to finish off our practice today, we come into a child's pose on the mat. We're going to come into a narrow leg child's pose, but you can come into a wide leg child's pose if that's what you prefer. And I offer you today just an option to have a cushion or bolster underneath you, or anything that helps you feel restorative here. So you can rest your head perhaps on there, Maybe you're in a wide leg child's pose, you've got a bolster underneath your torso. If child's pose is not a restorative place for you to be, which it isn't for everybody, then come into your lying Shavasana position if you would prefer. Starting to either close off the eyes or take a steady gaze. And releasing and letting go of any tension, any areas of the body that could be holding on to anything, releasing, giving every single part of the body permission to relax, not go. Observing any thoughts, observing how your body's feeling now you're coming towards the end of the practice. And as always, if you would like to stay in your Shavasana for longer, then please, please do. If you're ready to start coming out of your child's pose, meet me in a kneeling or a seated position on your mat and take a big roll through the shoulders, opening the eyes back up. Namaste. Thank you so much for being here and practicing with me. I hope you enjoyed this restorative flow and that it's left you hopefully with a sense of feeling like there's some space for slowness, or like you felt some space to be slow in your day to day. And of course, for more kind of lengthier practices like this, or talking through, you know, things like breath work and the chakras in a little bit more detail, then I do have a online membership that you can join. So please visit the link below to have a look at that. There's also live Zoom classes that you can do with me every Sunday. So yeah, I can't wait to see you again very soon. Bye-bye.